Here are the top stories for today, October 19, 2021. The alert level system piloted in Metro Manila is expanded to other parts of the country, which means easing of some curbs amid the pandemic. The Labor Department says the withholding of salaries for unvaccinated employees is illegal, as it warns employers of legal implications if they enforce this policy. The Transportation Department seeks an increase in the current 50% capacity of public transport as the relaxation of quarantine restrictions prompt movement of more people for work and other purposes. And another big haul, law enforcers seized some 262 million pesos worth of shabu in an operation that resulted in the death of 4 Chinese drug suspects in Pampanga. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases expands the implementation of the alert level system starting tomorrow until the end of the month. Under the new guideline, Alert Level 4 is imposed in Negros Oriental and Davao Occidental. Alert Level 3 is imposed in Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, Siquijor, Davao City, and Davao del Norte. Alert Level 2 in Batangas, Quezon Province, Lucena City, Bohol, Cebu City, Lapu-Lapu City, Mandaue City, Cebu Province, Davao de Oro, Davao del Sur, and Davao Oriental. Meanwhile, the metrics for Alert Level 1 in provinces' highly urbanized cities and independent component cities are amended to include the full vaccination of at least 70% of their A2, A3, and eligible population. Dine-in services under Alert Level 4 is 10% for indoor and 30% for outdoor. Alert Level 3 is at 30% for indoor and 50% for outdoor. Alert Level 2 is 50% for indoor and 70% for outdoor, and 100% for both indoor and outdoor under Alert Level 1. Fitness, studio gyms, and venues for non-contact exercise and sports under Alert Level 4 is at 10% for indoor and 30% for outdoor. Alert Level 3 is at 30% for indoor and 50% outdoor. Alert Level 2 is at 50% for indoor and 70% outdoor, and 100% for both indoor and outdoor under Alert Level 1. Permitted venues for social events as well as tourist attractions will also operate at 10% for indoor and 30% for outdoor under Alert Level 4, 30% for indoor and 50% outdoor under Alert Level 3, 50% for indoor and 70% outdoor under Alert Level 2, and 100% for both indoor and outdoor under Alert Level 1. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said that only a few provinces are included in the expanded alert level system as the new scheme is still being studied.
Mapapansin niyo po, ilang rehiyon pa lamang ang na-include dito sa pilot study. Pero sabihin na po natin na yung pagbaba po ng mga kaso at saka yung pag-improve ng ating healthcare utilization rate ay parang may kinalaman po doon sa alert level system na inadapt natin sa Metro Manila, dahilan para palawagin pa natin yung ating pilot implementation.
And as for the further easing of restrictions in Metro Manila, from Alert Level 3 to Alert Level 2, Roque said anything is possible.
Titingnan natin ang datos pagdating ng end of the month kasi talagang tayo ay data-driven. So kung talagang further bababa yung mga daily case average, 2 weeks attack rate at saka ating healthcare utilization rate, anything is possible. Pero hindi po ito mangyayari kung magpapabaya po ang ating mga kababayan. So importante po na habang nandiyan pa si COVID, patuloy po ang ating minimum health standards, mask, hugas, iwas, at syempre po, bakuna.
The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, reiterates that the no vaccine, no work or no pay scheme of some private companies is illegal. Labor Undersecretary Benjo Benavides said the non-inoculation of an employee should not be used as an excuse for non-payment of wages. Moreover, vaccination card is not a requirement for those who are applying for a job.
At least dalawang violation po ito na ginagawa ng isang employer. Ng una, yung non-payment of wages, at pangalawa, unlawful po ito yung withholding of wages. May criminal aspect na po yung withholding of wages. At ito po ay may kaakibat na parusang pagkakagulong at multa. O kaya man multa at pagkakakulong. Pero yung unang bahagi po, yung non-payment of wages, ito po ay isang administrative proceeding lang. Ito po ay nasa jurisdiction po ng Department of Labor. So sa ating pong mga kababayan na may mga ganito pong problema, wag po silang mag-hesitate na i-report po ito sa Department of Labor and Employment.
On the issue of 13th-month pay, Benavides said the computation is proportionate to the number of working days. He said a labor advisory will be issued on the matter.
Na ang 13-month pay, ito po ay isang statutory obligation. Ito po ay base sa batas, ma-extinguish lamang kung magkaroon po ng tamang bayad ang ating mga manggagawa. Pero alam niyo po merong mga assistance, form of assistance na pwede pong itulong yung pamahalaan sa ating mga korporasyon, sa ating mga employer, lalong-lalo na yung mga maliliit. Una na nga po dito yung nasambit pong pautang at ang pagkakaalam ko po ay wala o kaya napakaliit po ng interes. Pangalawa po, gusto po naming linawin sa pamamagitan na rin ng labor advisory na sa ko ang pagkakaunawa po kasi ng karamihan sa ating mga employer ay ang 13-month pay yung kabuuang monthly salary ng manggagawa. Pero hindi po ganun yung computation ng 13-month pay. Dahil na nga rin po marami pong mga manggagawa ang hindi po nakapasok at nagpatupad po tayo ng mga suspension of work. Sa tingin ko po proportionate lang. Yun naman po talaga ang tamang computation ng 13-month pay.
President Rodrigo Duterte has signed the LPG Industry Regulation Act that will regulate the domestic liquefied petroleum gas industry. This is said to ensure consumer protection against malpractices. Republic Act 11592 was signed on October 14, establishing an LPG cylinder improvement program to ensure the quality of all cylinders. The LPG cylinder exchange and swapping program also allows the exchange, swapping, and buyback of LPG cylinders. The computation of the depreciated value of LPG cylinders and the establishment of accredited LPG cylinder swapping centers. The Department of Energy will be the primary government agency responsible for the implementation and enforcement of the said law. The Department of Transportation wants to increase the passenger capacity in public utility vehicles in the National Capital Region following the downgrade of the alert level status. From alert level 4, the quarantine status in the NCR was downgraded to the more relaxed alert level 3 starting October 16 until October 31. The current maximum passenger capacity is 50%. DOTr Assistant Secretary Steve Pastor said their recommendation to increase the passenger capacity in the response to the growing expenses of day-to-day operations of our operators. This will also address the long-time request of the business sector to broaden economic activities. He said the proposal to be submitted to the Interagency Task Force would be based on both technical and medical studies. More business establishments in Camiguin are looking forward to the gradual reopening of the economy to be able to recuperate from their losses. Such is resort manager Frank Mercado, who is elated with the news of the island's reopening to tourists on October 25.
For now, ang among resort gihimo ni siya kuan the other part of our resort, the next property was converted to a quarantine facility. So mauna siyang nakakuha og income pud sa amo kasi wala pa man yung mga tourist na pwede mosulod. So hopefully karo October 25.
Camiguin Governor Jurdin Jesus Romualdo said the reopening of tourist sites in this island province will not only help the local economy but also contribute to the national government's recovery. As such, Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat bring in additional 4,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to inoculate tourism workers. Puyat said the provincial government has been consistent in its request for additional vaccines. As of October 14, there are 3,071 vaccinated tourism workers in Camiguin out of the initial 4,614 workers. 53 tourism enterprises and groups in the province recorded a 66.56% vaccination rate among their tourism workers. Other enterprises are still waiting for their vaccination schedules. Still to come, job security now a reality. The Presidential Communications Operations Office regularizes longtime casual and contract of service employees. And the National Housing Authority will accept the national ID as a proof of identity for housing applications. Details ahead. Keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. Local government units in the provinces are tightening measures in cemeteries and columbaria as Filipinos prepare for All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day on November 1 and 2, despite the continuing spread of COVID-19. More on this from Chris Mundo.
All cemeteries and columbaria in Nueva Ecija will be temporarily closed from October 29 to November 5 amid the spread of COVID-19. The Nueva Ecija Interagency Task Force said people may visit their departed loved ones before or after the said dates. The Nueva Ecija IATF also advised local government units to impose a 30% maximum capacity in cemeteries and columbaria. In Antique, the Provincial Interagency Task Force has allowed cemeteries to open from October 25 to 31. Local government units agreed to start preparations in the province's 52 cemeteries in anticipation of early visits. Local police will be deploying personnel even before October 25 to ensure that family members who will be cleaning up the tombs of their dead loved ones would be secured. Last year, the provincial government closed all public and private cemeteries on All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day due to the pandemic. Meanwhile, for the second time since the onset of the pandemic, cemeteries in Negros Occidental and Bacolod City will be closed from October 30 to November 2. Cemeteries, memorial parks, and columbaria in the city will be allowed to increase venue capacity to a maximum of 30% from October 15 to 29 and from November 3 to 15. Interment or burial services will still be allowed with the stringent observance of protocols, but only the immediate family members of the deceased will be allowed to attend. In other news, LGUs in Western Visayas are advised to put in place their contingency plan in preparation for UNDAS 2021. Office of Civil Defense Western Visayas Director Jose Roberto Nunez has issued a memorandum reminding LGUs to prepare in case they will open local cemeteries to the public for the occasion. Last week, the Regional Incident Management Team visited several LGUs in Iloilo to discuss their UNDAS preparation. This week, the RIMT will be in the provinces of Aklan and Capiz. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has issued show-cause orders against two bus consortiums operating along the EDSA busway. The two consortiums have allegedly failed to deploy sufficient bus units for the Libreng Sakay program. LTFRB Chair Martin Delgrad III said the two consortiums deployed an average of 120 to 150 units on Monday, way below the agreed cap on the maximum allowable bus units of 550. Delgra said there were also persistent reports of non-payment of salary of drivers and conductors despite the two receiving payments from the service contracting program. He reminded bus operators that they have a contractual obligation under the labor code to pay those salaries. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar has announced the regularization of more of its employees in line with the celebration of the agency's 11th anniversary. Andanar led the oath-taking ceremony and the signing of appointment papers of the newly regularized personnel on Monday at the PCOO's new office in Times Plaza building along Taft Avenue, Manila. An additional 32 regular employees were hired while 15 personnel were regularized. The newly regularized personnel will have security of tenure, benefits, year-end and performance-based bonuses, incentives, and allowances. Since 2016, the PCOO has been regularizing employees who have been with the communications agency for 5 years or longer. The PCOO pushed the regularization of deserving and hardworking employees in order to ensure job security amid the COVID-19 crisis, as well as to motivate its employees to become more productive civil servants. The National Housing Authority will start accepting the Philippine Identification Card or PhilID in applications for housing programs. In an October 13 post, the Philippine Statistics Authority said more low-income families are expected to qualify for NHA benefits with the use of the PhilID. The NHA is mandated to provide housing for low-income families, but documentary requirements have prevented applicants from availing of programs. The Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Social Welfare and Development have previously committed to use the PhilID and the National ID database in transactions. The PSA continues to call on government agencies and private entities to accept the PhilID as valid identification. In our business news, the Board of Investments has approved the 548.7 million peso project of Irradiation Solutions Incorporated, the second irradiation facility in the country. In a statement, the BOI said, ISI will start commercial operation of the Tanay Multipurpose Irradiation Facility by June 2023. ISI will be using electron beam technology for its irradiation facility in Tanay, Rizal. The only e-beam irradiation facility in the country is owned and operated by the DOST Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, which has a capacity of 440 metric tons in a year. The upcoming facility will add 25,000 metric tons of irradiation capacity annually. Irradiation is a processing and preservation technique for food and non-food products by exposing the goods to radiation. The project is aligned with the government's COVID-19 response in adopting innovative technologies to build food resilience. More stories from the PNA Newsroom. Former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell succumbs to COVID-19 complications. And families troop to the Manila Bay Dolomite Beach as Metro Manila shifts to the more relaxed Alert Level 3. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Mga kabida, importante pa rin ang disiplina sa pag-iwas sa pagkalat ng COVID-19. Upang masiguro ang kaligtasan ninyo at inyong mga pamilya, hanapin ang Safety Seal sticker sa inyong pupuntahan. Mapamall man ito, kainan, pasyalan, o kahit na anumang public o private business establishment. Ang Safety Seal ay tanda na ang isang establishment ay sumusunod sa minimum public health standards ng gobyerno upang maiwasan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Ating tandaan, bida ang may tatak. Hashtag Safety Seal para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
Mga kabida, hindi pa rin nawawala ang banta ng COVID-19. Upang masiguro ang kaligtasan ninyo at ng inyong pamilya, hanapin ang Safety Seal sticker sa inyong pupuntahan. Mapamall man ito, kainan, pasyalan o kahit anong business establishment. Ang safety seal ay tanda ng isang establishmento ay sumusunod sa minimum public health standards ng gobyerno para maiwasan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Ating tandaan, bida ang may disiplina. #SafetySeal para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
In the news overseas, former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell died due to complications from COVID-19, according to his family on Monday. He was 84 years of age. In a statement, the Powell family thanked the medical staff at Walter Reed National Medical Center for their caring treatment of the White House official. Powell was fully vaccinated, but he was previously diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and multiple myeloma, a type of blood cancer. President Joe Biden and former Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama were among those who expressed their condolences. Powell became the first Black U.S. Secretary of State under Bush in 2001. 4 Chinese nationals were killed in a drug operation where authorities seized about 262 million pesos worth of shabu in Barangay Pulong, Kakutud, Angeles City, Pampanga on Monday. Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Central Luzon Regional Director Brian Babang said agents conducted a buy-bust operation leading to an armed encounter with the group. Recovered from the suspects were some 38 kilograms of shabu, 4 .45 caliber handguns, 2 cell phones, a weighing scale with charger, and the marked money. The buy-bust was a joint operation with the Armed Forces Task Force NOAA, the PNP Anti-Drug Unit from Metro Manila, the National Capital Region Police Office, Bureau of Customs, and the Angeles City Police. Parishioners, lay leaders, and even people outside of the Roman Catholic Church are now being consulted by the Diocese of Dumaguete as part of its listening process for the Synod on Synodality. The Synod on Synodality is a 2-year process where all the dioceses in the world help the Catholic hierarchy in choosing the direction of church governance. Dumaguete Bishop Julito Cortez said the synod was only limited to the prelates coming together in Rome, but this time Pope Francis has decided to involve the people in the process. Among the sectors lined up for consultations include farmers, fisherfolk, the youth, persons with disabilities, persons deprived of liberty, and even those in politics. A final document will be prepared and submitted to the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, or CBCP. Cortez reiterated Pope Francis's message of listening to the people without judgment. The Dolomite Beach at Manila Bay along Rojas Boulevard has reopened to the public after months of rigid quarantine protocols due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Families and groups flocked to Manila's new attraction on Monday, just days after Metro Manila's alert level went down to level 3 last Saturday. The Dolomite Beach allowed visitors at 5:30 a.m. on Monday, 2.5 hours earlier than the 8 a.m. soft opening during the weekend. In an interview by PTV4, families relished what they called the opportunity of freedom even for just a short while. Visitors may stay as long as they want, but only 300 individuals at a time will be allowed until 6 p.m. daily. Food, drinks, pets, picking up Dolomite sand, spitting, and littering are not allowed. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The alert level system piloted in Metro Manila is expanded to other parts of the country, which means easing of some curbs amid the pandemic. The Labor Department says the withholding of salaries for unvaccinated employees is illegal, as it warns employers of legal implications if they enforce this policy. The Transportation Department seeks an increase in the current 50% capacity of public transport as the relaxation of quarantine restrictions prompt movement of more people for work and other purposes. And another big haul, law enforcers seized some 262 million pesos worth of shabu in an operation that resulted in the death of 4 Chinese drug suspects in Pampanga. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 67 days more to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.